Wait, don't stop. All right, y'all, we getting ready to go live. We are live. Let me flip this around real quick. I had it facing me. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this third episode of Till Death Do Us Part. I am your host, King David Michael, and I have with me our other host, my lovely wife, Tanika.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Good evening.
Once again, we're going through our little preliminaries to make sure that everybody is viewing us and make sure that everything is coming in loud and clear. Hello, everybody. How are y'all doing today? We're just waiting on some of the viewers to come in. Waiting to get things. Making sure everybody got an opportunity to tune in. Denise, thanks for sharing the video.
Thank you, Denise. Appreciate it. Thanks to everyone that was sharing these past few episodes since we started about 5 Mondays ago. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. We appreciate all the feedback and all the encouraging words, everything that you have done to support us this far. Excuse me.
All right, y'all keep on coming in. We got a good topic on today. Today we will be talking about, we're going to answer a few questions that we had from the last previous episodes.
Can everybody hear us okay? Before we get into the meat of the discussion, we want to make sure we have, good connectivity and we have a sound audience before we get
and
started.
All our viewers are chiming in. We want to make sure that is going down. Good topic on today. Wonderful topic on today. All right, viewers are coming up. I see about 13. See about 13 viewers.
Hope everyone had a great Valentine's Day week and great Valentine's Day weekend. Happy President's Day to everyone. All you federal government employees that were off work today. Hope you enjoyed your day. Hey, Payshana. Hey, Edward. LaTanya. Thank you guys for tuning in. We good, Edward? Are we good now with the cameras?
Okay, we are back in effect.
So I'm going to go back for a second.
Y'all bear with us. If y'all see a little darkness coming in real quick, it's because we're adjusting our camera. Regardless of how many times that you do this, you are still going to have technical difficulties. I don't know if that helped.
Shut that down, Tasha.
Hey,
Yeah,
Kanye.
you gotta turn it the other way. Never mind. I got it. Yeah, it has to be there. What y'all got? I just need a good camera that speed. Yeah, I can see the people faster.
Denise say turn it one more time.
It went down like that.
Oh.
Okay, I'm trying to get to where I can talk to y'all quicker than what I'm doing right now because everything is coming in kind of slow.
Go sideways.
Trust me, y'all, we rehearsed this over and over and over again, and one, but like I said, we're getting ready to get it together. This won't be an issue for long. Trust me, believe me when I tell you.
Are we still showing sideways?
Sometimes it's the phone. Sometimes it's whoever's watching phone. Okay. Any of y'all got a consistent feed from y'all phone to where y'all actually see us in real time? Or at least without it being frozen? Ask him, you got a consistent feed?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Are we still sideways?
Can I use it, please?
I need to be charged.
Alright, I'm gonna wait till I can see it. No consistent feed?
Cool.
This is the main thing. If I could see them talking, I knew my phone was gonna be right because I checked my phone. Okay, is that consistent feed?
Okay.
You good?
Hey, Carlette.
No, I'm gonna go with that. I'm not gonna tell.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Alright, well I don't know what you're saying, but
You can cut it, come back 30 seconds. You put that back up.
alright guys, pause for the cause. I wanna use that to talk to the viewers. Yeah, we fine, we good.
Is it showing the chat?
No.
It's not actually in real time, but
Yeah.
okay, people.
So,
Alright. We're getting a lot of sideways this and sideways
Yeah,
that
sideways.
or what have you, but long as y'all can hear us and y'all can see us, we're fine. Okay? First of all, what we want to do real quick is we want to pray. God, we thank you for allowing us to be here once again. We thank you for our viewers. We thank you for our audience that are actually here inside this living room. We thank you for every one of our neighbors who also are looking in, oh God. We thank you for inspiring us every day to continue doing what you have placed in our hearts to do. God, we ask that this podcast continue to bless others as it blesses us. We ask that whatever we say during this podcast, that it be uplifting and encouraging to people, oh God. And Father God, we even thank you for the bigger audience, and we thank you for the bigger platform that you are sending our way right now. In Jesus' name we pray and we ask, amen. All right, so some saying sideways, some say this, some say that. But however,
Thank you, big brother. I love you. Thank you so much.
all right. Let's move right along. My wife is pretty though, ain't she?
Hey, Richard. Thank you for joining, Brian. We appreciate you.
Love you, Carlette.
Hey, Carlette.
We just want to say hey to everybody because we just
Yeah.
now catching up, y'all.
Yeah, it's a little late.
Hey, Vanessa. Let me see. What's up, Kurt? Hey, Cheryl. Yes, Shawneek, the Lord just fixed it too. I'm about to tell somebody it's not difficult. Turn the darn camera.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, so we good now, right? That's good. That's good enough, right?
It's not.
What do you mean it's not? What do you mean?
This is how they're watching. We look like that on the camera.
I don't.
Yeah, that's what you're trying to say.
Do we look like this on the camera?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it was. Oh, okay. Y'all forgive me. I'm about to fix this real quick. All right, well, make sure it's right. Okay, let me see. Well, it don't look like that on my phone.
It's probably supposed to be like that.
Yeah, straight up.
Straight up and
Turn it
I
around.
don't think it's supposed to be like that, though. I never had it like that before.
Maybe something went wrong in between. It's okay.
It's okay, what?
So now
It's
it
gonna
should be
work.
showing shit
Yeah.
like this.
Huh?
Yeah. 1 second. You gotta catch
But
up.
I never had it like that, though.
Are we good now, Elwood? Yep. We good to go.
He said we
Thank
good
you,
to go.
Lord Jesus. No, I see it on here.
But it's the thing, though. I never had it like that before, though.
I'm trying to tell you.
But y'all might not be able to see me. She's so happy she right, y'all, for one time.
Always right.
She ain't
Ladies,
gonna
aren't we
never let
always right?
She ain't gonna never let me live that down. Something ain't right. I just feel like something. Hold up.
Yeah, we good. No, that's good.
Yeah, it was much better.
There you go. See?
Alright. I mean,
Yes, you need the extras of the tips. See what I'm saying?
okay.
All right. Thank you. Our live audience.
Alright,
All
guys. We got it. We going. Let me see. Now let's get back into these.
You need my phone?
Sean, everybody.
Go
Daddy is turning over his grave. Cut it, boy. Cut it. Where's my phone?
Right, Elwood?
This Sean phone.
Turn it over. This one. Okay. All right. So, once again, thank you all so much for your patience. We're about 15 minutes into our 7 o'clock showing. So, we may go over a little bit, so if you can bear with us, we want to make sure we hit all pointers, hit all our topics that are included within our header for this evening. So, thank you guys once again for your patience and sticking in with us. So, we still have our 13 viewers that were originated from the 7 o'clock. 14 now.
14. Okay, anyways, what we want to get into real quick is we're still on the topics of relationships, right? And we found that to be like the meat of what we talk about often on this show, because relationships are very key in every aspect of our lives. We're going to ask if you would go back and look at our first podcast that we did that was entitled Relationships. That way you can get a better view of why we're at the point that we are at right now with accepting this question and also trying to answer it. Now, when I first got this question, I asked myself, should I even answer it? Because my answer would be an opinion. But now I'm thinking that more so that my answer can be pretty factual, just based on some of the things that I was able to gather, and also some things that I believe God inspired me to say. So the question was, everybody, can a marriage last without sex? Before I dig into that, I want y'all to go ahead and just drop real quick yeses and nos. Everybody drop yeses, nos,
What do
maybe.
you think? What do you think? Yeah.
We want to hear that real quick before
And
we go
why?
into
And
it.
why? What do you
And
think?
why? And why? And why? Because honestly, if I was to sit here and give you my answer right now, it would totally come across as opinion. In fact, at the end of the day, it may very well just be opinion. But like I said, that's for you to decide and for you to determine. We got one viewer says yes. Richard Lewis says
okay.
yes. What's up, Richard Rich?
Hey, Richard.
Says yes. Let me see who else. Come on, come on, y'all. It should be 15 answers up there. I got 15 viewers. Yes. Richard says yes. Let me see. All depends on the stage of the marriage. That's what my brother says. Okay, I knew his answer was going to be neutral.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a cop-out. That's a punk answer. No, because it's a deep connection. Okay, Denise, I like that
good one. Okay.
Sammy, where you at? Where your answer at, Sammy?
Oh, Tasha said yes.
Yes, a marriage can't work with yes. Tasha said yes. Jessica. The mister said it all boils down to, do you care about sex more than you care about your marriage? Jessica, I want to invite y'all over too. I want to meet him. I say yes. Okay, that's good. Mr. says yes too. Okay, he says yes too.
Yes. Okay. So looks like the majority of everyone is starting to say yes.
I say no. Shanique said no.
Shanique said
way.
no. Okay. Lord, she said no. Both.
No way. Not married, but I believe so.
Okay,
a relationship can definitely work without sex. Not married. That's what you mean?
I'm not married.
Oh, okay. You're not married. Okay. But can it, okay. All right. Yeah. Marriage. You believe it can work. Okay. Yeah. All right. We got enough. Okay. Now, how should I even go into this? I would have to say, I don't believe that a marriage can work without sex. I don't believe a marriage can work without sex. Or put it this way, it can work, but I don't believe that it would last. Let me see, we got somebody else coming in. Sex shouldn't be the focal part of sex should not be the focal part of the marriage, though. I don't want y'all to get it twisted. Let me go into why I said that. Let me go into why. Let me answer that for y'all, because I jotted down some stuff as I prayed about this answer, and I jotted down some stuff. And I just want to share some things with you guys real quick. Just something for you to think about. Okay, can a marriage work without sex? This is what I wrote down after prayer and after seeking God concerning this answer. And just knowing from life experience. First of all, let's be clear. I love sex. Let's be clear on that. I love sex. Let's be clear on that. Yeah. Clap that up. Yeah. Right? However, sex is not the most important thing in my marriage. Neither is it the focal point of any relationship that I have ever been in. So I just want to say that sex is, however, and one of the key things that is very important in marriage is communication. That is one of the key things, communication. And I do not think that a marriage can last without communication, no more than I think a marriage can last without sex. So with that being said, sex is one of the highest forms of communication. One of the highest forms, if not the highest form of communication. That's what sex is. Sex intertwines the body and the spirit, and it touches the soul. When somebody can touch your soul, that becomes the highest form of communication. They find that can become the highest form of communication. When somebody can touch your body and your exterior and somehow intertwine that touch to where it reaches you on a spiritual level, to where it touches your soul. And by soul, I mean everything emotional, everything that makes you feel, everything that drives you, everything that pushes you, everything that holds your affection. When a person can do that, that is the highest form and the highest level of communication. So with that being said, can your marriage work without having the highest form of communication? It can, but can it last? Oftentimes when sex is excluded from a marriage, most of the time, it's because one or the other is incapable physically to just do it. One or the other is just incapable physically to just do it. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know every case or every instance in which it's impossible for male or female to engage in sexual activity. However, I do know that there are totally different forms of sex. They find totally different forms of sex. If y'all hear me keep saying they find, it's because I have daughters here, and me and my daughters, we talk about these things. All right. So that's a whole nother topic for y'all later. That's a whole nother topic. So with all that being said, sex was designed for a man and a woman to come together in such a way to where they can share a deep intimacy and a deep level of affection, compassion. My heart, my everything, my devotion has been dedicated to you. And the ritual by which I do this is by sharing my body with you. I want to go a little bit deeper, and I know it seems like I'm just going on and on, but I want to go a little bit deeper. And I want to also point this out. When you have sex with someone, and I'm sure that you guys have found this to be true, when you have sex with someone, you take on a piece of that person. You take on a piece of that person, and that person takes on a piece of you, especially when it's done right. You ever heard of the phrase soul ties? That's very true. You have, that's why you got to be careful who you lay down with. So once again, sex is one of the highest forms of communication. Let me get a little bit more deeper and take it to a whole nother level. Even the animals of the jungle and the beasts of the field, we have inside of us called this thing called pheromones. And what pheromones is something inside of our body that's oftentimes produced or comes out through our urine that inside of the nostril of our mate, it smells good. And it's kind of like an invisible odor that attracts us to each other solely and sexually. This was placed inside of us by our Creator. And if we want to get biblical about the situation, throughout the Bible, whenever God refers to a man and a woman conceiving and bearing a child, he doesn't say that they knew each other until that happens. Just go and read and you'll see in the Bible it says, and Adam knew Eve. They've been in the garden for a long time, walking together, communicating even, so they thought together. But it wasn't until they actually conceived and bare Cain and then again Abel, that's when the Bible said that and Adam knew Eve. So at the end of the day, I also believe that it's impossible to fully know your mate until you actually make love or have sex with them. Until then, you know them, but you don't fully know them until that happens. Now, on the flip side, it doesn't mean that just by having sex, that makes you know them either. But I believe that the last stages of knowing that person is when you have sex. I'm going to say this too, and then I'm going to let my wife come in and talk. Sex is the final step to someone knowing someone else and taking on a God-like aspect by creating another life form. By creating another life form. Can a marriage last without sex? My answer is no. In fact, humanity itself cannot last without sex. All right? So let you chime in and then have...
I just wanted to say in response to the question, can a marriage last without sex? Can a marriage survive without sex? And so in my opinion, I'm going to have to disagree with my host here, because I believe, yes, a marriage can survive without sex. I mean, and also it depends on the reason why sex is absent in the marriage, you know, and so it could be a medical reason or, you know, if they both agree, you know, to abstain from sex for a specific period of time for fasting.
So you said for a period of time.
Okay, right.
That's a difference.
Okay, that's still abstinence.
Go ahead.
That's still abstinent without sex. But from a woman's standpoint, from most women, I can speak on our behalf. Intimacy for us is mostly in the mind and in the spirit, intellectually. And so our attraction and what would keep us held dear to our mate, to our spouse, is that communication, is that intimacy in our head, in our mind, what we think, that emotional tie that is complemented by sex. And so if we don't have that, then the sex to us is not going to come easily. So therefore, the relationship is still not what it should be. You know what I mean? And so if a woman is not there mentally, then sex is just something to do. You know, and so I would say, yes, a marriage can survive without sex. Yes, a marriage should be able to survive without sex, because sex may not always be available all the time, or, may not always be a factor, something that you can't do.
It's available now.
And so, available, yeah.
Whether or not it come from your spouse, that's
but we're talking about women and men that are with each other, and that are soulmates, and that are married to each other. Yeah.
Let me say this. Now, one of the key things that she said is, for a period of time, if you both agree on it. For a period of time, if you both agree on it. If you both agree on it, then of course, that's all a part of communication. And like I said earlier, sex is the final step of communication. Because like you said, if the touching and the stimulating of the mind and all that stuff like that is good and everything is in place, then of course, sex is the final step to communication. This is why I said, once again, the final step. And then when you get ready to bear and conceive children, then that's when the Bible declares that, and Adam knew his woman, and Adam knew Eve, and David knew so-and-so, and they bared seed. You know what I mean? So step is the final step to communication. It's the final step to fully knowing a person, in my belief, once again. And like she said, oftentimes you don't know what the medical condition is or whatever the case may be. However, what I do know is that there are different forms of sex. So if the condition is not working in certain areas, I'm often sure that it's working in other areas. And in some type of way, sex can happen. Are y'all going with me here? Can we dig a little bit deeper? Y'all have a condition every month that we don't have. We ready all the time. But just because it's not ready there doesn't mean it can't be ready other places and other ways. Because like I said, once again, y'all following me, studio audience, once again, there are other forms and other levels of sex. Now, let's say for instance, for a guy, if a guy, some guys get stressed out and they can't perform. That's exactly what I'm talking about, Shanique. Let's say, for instance, Shanique, I swear I can't stand. That's exactly what I'm talking about. But not only that, there are so many other ways. So anyways, and we ain't about to point them all out, Shanique. So anyways,
So the answer to the question, King David says, yes or no?
I say no.
You said no. A marriage cannot survive without sex. And in fact, a marriage wasn't intended to survive without sex. And let me tell you why I say this now. And I want to say that because we are believers, and this is, regardless of what people may think, this is a believing based podcast. Yeah. According to what I believe, we are supposed to be fruitful and multiply. And by the way that we do that is by having sex. So in a nutshell, how can I ask my marriage to survive without sex if humanity itself cannot survive without sex? If everybody right now was to stop having sex, that's a good point.
If everybody right now was even artificial insemination, someone has to have some type of form of sex first in order to produce the ejaculation. So with that being said, humanity itself cannot survive without sex. How can we expect for our marriages to? And oftentimes when a person or people or whatever, they can't perform sex or whatever the case may be, and it's a medical condition, 9 times out of 10, it's a terminal illness, which means it's still not going to last because that person is getting ready to die. So they can't have sex. They getting ready to die. And when they die, the marriage is till death do us part, like the name of the show, you know? So, like I said, y'all can go and y'all can pray on this and y'all can decipher, but I just wanted to throw some facts out there to tell you how I came about with my decision that no, a marriage cannot last without sex. Like I said, my bottom line is humanity itself cannot last without sex. So how can we ask anything else related to humanity to last without sex, especially something like marriage, when 2 humans are coming together and becoming one, and not only becoming one, but creating one another human being. All right. So y'all come back in with y'all comments, and I'm gonna let her chime in.
Yeah. So I just want to play devil's advocate really quick with what you said, right? You said that the marriage cannot survive without sex because we were made here to to have sex. That's what all the animals. That's what we're here for, right?
No, we ain't here to have sex.
I mean,
no.
that's a part of our creation. So my question is, marriage and procreation are 2 different things. And so if you're saying that we're married and in our marriage can't survive because we're here to procreate, right? We're here to, that's what marriage symbolizes, right?
Marriage symbolizes 2 people coming together and becoming one.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I said that the highest form of communication is sex. Mm-hmm. So once you done communicated on a level beyond to its peak, the next step should be sex. And then when you get together and you have sex, that's when the procreation takes place. I think it's irresponsible for 2 people to come together and have a child when they haven't reached their highest level of communication yet. And just like I said, just because you have sex with somebody doesn't mean you've reached that highest level of communication. You understand? It has been some people that, I'll be the first to say I had sex with and I ain't never even know their name. Mm-hmm. But so we didn't communicate on no level whatsoever. You understand what I'm saying? That was irresponsible. Yeah. But now that I know better, that I know even in being married, as well as I think I know you, there has been times where we have communicated on such a level, and then afterward came the Big Bang, and it was on another level even still. You understand? So, go ahead.
Yeah, I just thought maybe some people had those questions in mind, that we were saying about, procreation and things like that, if that's not their intent, See, if this is the thing, and did I answer it when I said it's irresponsible for 2 people to come together? Yeah, that was
okay. Yeah, that's irresponsible. She said, for some of you who might have the question, procreation. What if that's not your agenda and you just want to have sex? Once again, it is irresponsible to not be having sex for any purpose other than I know you so much until I'm ready to know you on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
I'm ready to take that next step of knowing you the way God said I should know you. Because he said, if I know you in that way, then he'll entrust me with one of the greatest gifts ever given to man. And that is the gift of life. Mm-hmm. And he'll entrust you with being able to come together to create a life form. Right? I want y'all to chime in some more. Let me go and look and see at some of these questions and answers. You got any concerns? Anything you want to?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. So you still think that a marriage can last?
I'm standing firm on that. Yes, I believe that a marriage can't survive without sex. And
try it.
I don't know about mine. But I believe that a marriage can survive without sex.
Let me tell you something. Most women, now see, this is the thing now. Okay, all right. Remember how you said sex for y'all are different, right? Yeah. Sex for women are different. Mm-hmm. So you telling me that our marriage could last without your definition of sex?
No, and so that means that the definition of sex is different from everybody.
Okay,
right?
I understand that. But this is what I said earlier. I said there are many different types of sex.
Yeah.
There are many different forms of sex. So the way I stimulate you,
I would say intimacy.
okay, so the way I stimulate you intimately or
Okay.
sexually through your mind and all of that stuff like that or whatever, could our marriage last without that? Yeah, exactly.
No.
Right, that way. So
No.
now, whatever I do for you intimately that stimulates you sexually, what you do for me physically stimulates me mentally.
Okay, so that's the difference, guys. That is the difference. So that's what I was trying to explain, I guess. You know, that for women is different. And so I guess for me, the word sex is just a physical thing.
She thinking about
But intimacy is like more of an inner, a soul, a spiritual thing, which most women like to tap into first before allowing that physical.
the calm before the storm.
Yes.
All right, I understand. I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, y'all just dig on that real quick so we can look at some of these questions again and keep going through. Once again, we appreciate y'all. It depends on why you're not having sex. Yeah, see, all of y'all chiming in chat. We agree. Chad said it depends on why you are not having sex. If it's because one of them are sick, then if not, no. Yeah, it can't work. It has to be a reason. And like I said, if you're sick, then most of the time, people who can't perform sexually, most of the time at all. Now, like I said, many different forms of sex. People can't perform sexually at all. Then that means that more than likely, sad to say, they're getting ready to die. Which means the marriage is not going to last. And that was the question. Could a marriage last? No, it cannot. And like I said, it's just opinion. Go ahead. You can, go ahead. Well, a lot of women may not. Okay, this is a question that my wife wanted to throw out there because she think that somebody might be asking this or thinking this. But you did say this? Oh, you did? Okay. A lot of women may not feel like sex is the highest form of communication. I would say this. It really ain't about what you feel. It's about what you know. And truth of the matter is, everybody knows that you are not going to fully open up to a person that you can't be naked in front of. Huh?
I would say that is true.
Okay.
I would say that is true. Yeah,
bless
true.
you?
That's true.
All right, because when you can be naked in front of someone, that is the highest level of surrendering. That's the highest level of, I'm giving you my all. I'm trusting you with my all. I know you well enough to know that I can let you see every part of me and trust that you're going to know what to do with it, that you're going to protect it, that you're going to nurture it, that you're going to cater to it, that you're going to please it, that you're going to... Y'all understand what I'm saying? Paralyzed from the waist down, you live a long time with no action. No, that's not true. Paralyzed from the waist down, you live a long time with no action from the waist down. Like I said, once again, there are many different forms of sex, guys. I still believe marriage can last without sex. That's fine. That's fine. I'm just telling y'all what I believe. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to implement nobody's, I'm not trying to implement my will or my beliefs on nobody. But what I do want you to do, if this podcast does nothing else, because even some of the comments make me go back and think. I want you guys to just go and think about what I said. Do a little bit of research. Pray about it. Look inwardly. Answer from a place of stability and serenity in here, and not from a place of brokenness and he hurt me or she hurt me and this just don't sound right and this just don't seem right, and but answer from a real place, and let's see how it goes. Yeah. Ebony cracking up. But yeah, bro, paralyzed from the waist down, that's a hey. Alright, anyways, moving right along. Next order of business. Yeah, any more questions? Let's get them in. Let me make sure I ain't missing them. Shawnee, I say no, Bo. Shawnee, sit your little hot rump down somewhere. She's always right. Denise will say that. Okay, yeah. Y'all share this video. Let some people chime in. Okay, we done with that. Let me make sure.
Any more questions about sex and marriage?
Wait, hold up, because my brother just now said something.
Okay.
He said that I said that sex was to reproduce. Anything other than waist down doesn't count. That's not true, and I did not say that sex was only just to reproduce. I said that sex was the highest form of communication. I said sex was the next level communication. It's so next level that when two people come together, that is when God entrusts them with the ability to reproduce. All right? Because mind you, there's some people who have sex for days, and got everything together, but still somehow don't reproduce. At the end of the day, God is still the giver of all life, but sex is the means by which He created the avenue for us to be able to produce that life. All right, moving right along. I'm sure he's going to answer back to that. Another topic of discussion is, and any more questions? Anything else? Oh, it was something I asked you guys to do. If y'all remember the Mind Over Matter segment, where we was talking about matters of the heart, and I asked you guys to try to use that philosophy and try to use that way of living by allowing your mind to make your decisions for about a week versus allowing your heart and to see the different places that you would come in and how it would work in your favor and things like that, and how it was hard and it definitely took practice or whatever. Could you guys tell me if y'all tried that out, and how did it work? If you forgot about it, I meant to ask y'all this last week. It totally skipped my mind. I'm sorry. Forgive me. If you guys have forgotten about it and didn't try it, try this. Every decision for the next week, let it be decisions that you make based from your mind. Get somewhere by yourself, clear your head, focus on what you want, how you want it to be. Forget about how you feel. Because it may be some things that you might want that you might feel is impossible. It may be some things that you don't want to accept that really is the truth. But to know it and know it's the truth, it makes you feel a certain way and it makes you be in denial of what it is. Start killing that and focus on what is the reality and focus on what you can prove through here with facts and with truth. And make decisions based on your knowledge and make decisions based on your intellect versus your emotions and your feelings and things like that. Practice that for about a week. And then on next Monday, we'll talk about it and tell me some of the differences that you see. I guarantee you would see a huge difference. So much so that it would empower you and it would persuade you to continue moving forward with doing that.
Yeah, I agree. And I for one, will be first to say that I did practice Mind Over Matter that week. And it felt really good to be able to control your heart and control your feelings, because sometimes a lot of us women, we get very emotional and we make decisions based on our emotions. I'll give you an example. I think one of my daughters was in the bedroom and she was just yelling at mommy, asking me to help her do something. And all of a sudden, out of my emotion, because I was already frustrated, I just got home from work, I was already frustrated, I yelled at her and was like, what do you want? And she said, I just wanted to show you this. And she was giving me a little
stop yelling at my child.
She was giving me a little note that said, I love you, you're the best mom. And so that made me in that moment I had to go back to her and say, I apologize. Mommy was just upset, and having to choose my mind over how I felt, making a decision. My daughter is calling for her mommy. Just because I feel like I'm upset right now doesn't mean I need to let her know that I have to control what I feel, put my feelings under subjection, and then give her what she's asking me to give in that moment, So just as simple as making a choice, making a decision.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
I'm telling you guys, this stuff works, man. It really does. It really does. Just try it. That's all I can say is try it. Oftentimes, I remember when I used to make decisions based on my emotions, and then I ended in certain places. And then when my emotions shifted and my mind was able to regulate, I started realizing that I was in a place that I really didn't want to be. But if I were to give my mind a chance to override my emotions, I would have not made that step because my mind would have told me better through intellect and it would have switched my direction. So please, that's right, Ebony. Every time I no more yelling. That's right, no more yelling. But and and you have to be able to own up to when you realize that you slipped, because this is a practice. Scriptural facts, it says that the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Your emotions is an everlasting roller coaster. Everlasting roller coaster. I literally stepped in the house 10 minutes before we went to shoot this live video. When I came in, I did not feel like nothing what I'm talking about right now. I didn't feel like it. But that didn't change it from being the truth. Yeah. That didn't change it from being facts. So I allowed the facts and the truth to override what I was feeling. I was feeling what this last meeting I just left out of. I was feeling the effects of that. I hated it. I was feeling the fact that it was a 4:30 meeting. It didn't start until 6 o'clock. I was upset. Those were my feelings. I could have allowed that. I was feeling the fact that at 4:30, my wife decided what she wanted to cook when she know we had to get ready for the podcast at 6 o'clock. I was feeling the effects of that. I could have allowed that to override what I know, which is none of that would make peace in my home if I got upset about it. None of that would make peace in my world if I allowed it to govern and drive where I go. So I allowed my mind to override what I felt. And when I walked in the house, I had relatives here helping with the cooking that I'm ready to dig into. One I ain't seen in forever that I'm so happy that I saw. I had, my other sister was here and she was helping with setting things up and stuff like that. All because, I just shifted my mindset instead of following my heart. Could have went a totally different way. So you guys, please make sure y'all practice that for a week and get back to us next week and let us know how that worked out for you. Deny yourself of what you feel and go with what you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me see. Like the old saying goes, this is Elwood, I don't even know what this got to do with anything. Like the old saying goes, love is blind and it will take over your mind. Hey, bro, I don't know what you mean, but go in deeper. Love is blind. If you still talking about the subject we was off an hour ago, we'll talk about that some more later. Yes. Oh, you just hitting me like that. I'm thinking you trying to tell me.
Sorry, no.
Oh, I thought she kept hitting my leg. I thought she was trying to tell me to talk about something different. But she just trying to be fresh over here. Stop feeling me, Bo.
So moving on, you guys. So we thank you for giving us feedback on the topic: can marriage survive without sex? And then also taking the challenge to use your mind over your heart. And consciously choosing to follow your mind versus what you feel and how you feel.
That's right. That's right.
And so for the next few moments of this podcast, we're going to talk about community. A lot of you all that chimed in for this segment, we've noticed that you all are active in your community and you are very passionate about those things that are coming out of your community. So we want to talk about the importance of being community activists, the negative and positive things that you see going on within your community, ways that you can make a difference within your community, and things that you're going to do and put in action to make sure that those things come to pass, because we have to raise our children to be the next generation so that what we dream to have does not die with us. We can't take our visions and our dreams with us in the grave. We have to be able to implant them into our children so that they can carry on through our life.
That's right. Can somebody look at the camera and make sure we're still rolling? We still rolling?
Yeah.
We are? Okay, good. I just want to make sure we're still rolling, guys. I know this sounds so cliche, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway. But it takes a village to actually raise a great community. If you have a child in a good community, and by community, it doesn't necessarily mean neighborhood, but if you have a good team, support team, whether it be, first of all, parents, people within the school that actually care, church, after school programs, social workers even. You know, if you have a good base all the way around that's on the same, everybody is on the same page trying to help bring up the community or bring up the children or whatever the case may be, then that I believe that's great and that really helps. One thing I want to point out, and I really wanted to save this for my fire pit talks that I do. I don't know if y'all ever seen it, but I'll be outside on my back patio and I'll throw some logs on the fire pit and I'll just have intimate conversations about stuff that's on my mind and things that people ask me in passing throughout the streets, inboxes that I get, videos that people send to me or whatever the case may be. And somebody sent me a video of it was a meeting in Chicago between a lot of black leaders, a lot of black pastors, and they were meeting with a lot of Caucasian government officials. And in the video, there were some things that were being thrown around to the intent that these pastors were taking large quantities of money from these government officials to persuade their church to vote for them because the church was large in numbers. But they was not taking this money and pouring it back into the community in order for them to provide jobs and to provide some type of human services for the black community or for, the urban community or for minorities as a whole. And, and they sent it to me. And the video gave the notion as if it was trying to indicate that this was the way that all black pastors and all black spiritual believers behave. And I just want to address that. That is so far from the truth. For every good apple you have, you better believe you may even have much more bad apples. However, you cannot allow what your experience with one particular place of worship interfere with you going to any other places trying to find that spot that is real, because there are some real places out there. And when I see people make up these type of, not saying that the person that sent the video was making up an excuse, but when I see people try to point my eyes towards stuff like that, it hurts me inwardly, because what bothers me is not what I see in the video, because I'm aware that this stuff happens. What bothers me is that why are y'all always trying to fix our eyes on that, when for every time you see that, you can go and find somebody that's doing the opposite, that's really taking this money and really putting it back in the community. For one, I myself, not to toot my own horn, I really do go into these schools and I spend my time that I most of the time don't get paid for, and I dedicate it to doing things like teaching young men how to tie ties. I dedicated to doing things, to teaching young men how you should look professionally and how you should present yourself as a man. I dedicated to doing things like feeding the homeless. I dedicated to doing things like throwing a block party every year in which I bring the community together, and we do things like give out book bags to the kids free of charge. Nobody pays for nothing. We do things like provide entertainment for a day for everybody of the community, not just kids. We do things like throw a free cookout. We do things like offer free prayer. We also have a sister organization called Woman and Woman Ministries, Inc., that they do things like they teach people how to go on job interviews. They teach people how to conduct themselves as women, how to conduct themselves, and young girls, how to conduct themselves as ladies. They talk to people about the dangers of date rape and the dangers of rape, period, the dangers of child molestation, the dangers of peer pressure and teen pregnancy. So we actually do these things. However, you get millions and millions of views from somebody doing the negative, but we only can barely scratch the surface of maybe a few hundred views when we're doing the positive. So the question I want to pose to these people that tend to want to show me these things is, change your view. Change what you're looking at. In fact, change what you're looking for. Because oftentimes what you look for is what you would find. Go ahead.
And my question is why? why is it that all of the negative things in our community are things that have the most attention? You know what I mean? Why is it that when there's a person or someone or a group of people that's trying to do something positive, they don't get the support from the community or the support from the politicians that these negative things get? You know,
Right.
Why is that? I mean, that's I really want to know the answer.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you what it is. We ourselves as a people has been trained from years ago, from many, many years ago. We have been trained to pull each other down.
Yeah.
From the plantation to plantation, you see where the Caucasian people has made our people feel and believe that we were inferior by breaking the masses of us, not all of us, but the masses of us, breaking us through castration, through slavery, through raping our women in front of us, through raping our strong men in front of us. These are the things they did. And instead of us trying to build our mind around the fact that we have to play catch up, and the only way to give ourselves a fighting chance is to come together and really try to fight and destroy these powers that be, we tend to spend our time involved in that same mentality. Excuse my language, but house nigga and field nigga mentality. It was where the people in the house felt like they were more privileged and more higher than the ones that was in the field. And they cared more about what was going on in that house than they did with their brothers and sisters in the field. And you see this going on and on and on throughout so many aspects of the community. We glorify the fact that we have people that hate us, and oftentimes the ones that we glorify that hate us be our own kind. I get so sick when I see a young lady on the internet and she's on there gloating or whatever about, if you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. Your life, I don't want my life to be determined by how many people who hated me. When my dad passed away, I was honored by how many people loved him.
Yeah.
I don't care to know how many people hate me. That's depressing. To run around glorifying the fact about how many people hate you. I want to say this again before I start taking on questions. Another thing that I noticed was I lost my train of thought. I'm trying to remember the YouTube video that I saw. It'll come back to me, but I do want to say this. There's a young man in the community that whenever my corporation and my organization calls on him, I can't speak for nobody else. I can only speak for mine. Whenever my organization and my corporation calls on him, he is there beyond a shadow of a doubt. And he may do that, and I believe he do. He may do that for every person that come to him and ask him for help. He may do that. But let me tell you how our people are. I got shade thrown at me because I was trying to acknowledge the fact that somebody else helps me out all the time. Don't ask for anything, never tells me no, and I got shade thrown at me because I was trying to celebrate him. I got shade thrown at me. And I want to be real specific about the shade, but I won't name drop. And the shade was, oh, he do that for everybody. And at first I said, wow. Okay, well, if he does that for everybody, why don't everybody celebrate him the way I do?
Yeah.
Why don't everybody tell him this and not wait on him to post up something that I celebrated him with? Because he does deserve it, and he do help everybody. So why don't everybody celebrate him? When are we going to get out of this mentality of you don't have nothing that I don't have? Yeah. I know that. I want us all to have it. Yeah. That's why the same way he blesses me and the same way he does it and doesn't ask for anything, I don't go out there asking for nobody for nothing. I mind my business. We mind our business, and we do what we do. We don't speak ill against nobody. We don't talk ill against nobody, because that's not how you come together. Just wanted to share that with y'all. Just wanted to share that. And God bless the person who did it, and God bless the people who supported it.
I'm a firm believer that when you put out good energy and you put out love, it comes right back to you. It comes. I always say, when you put out good energy comes back. And I mean, it comes back 100-fold, and you're always going to be blessed. You're always going to be, you're always going to be okay if you're always putting out okay things,
That's right.
And so we got to be very careful of the seeds that we plant in our community, the seeds that we plant into our children, into our friends, our neighbors, because those things are going to sprout up, and we don't want to be the one harvesting and reaping the sprouts, of the plants or flowers or whatever, or weeds of what we planted 10, 15, 20 years ago. We don't want our children to reap what we've sown 30 years ago, and they're cursed because of our actions, and so we got to be very, very careful, very conscious, very mindful about what we put out into our community. And that's why we want to bring this topic up tonight as a discussion for all of us to just be mindful about what we're doing to help our community move forward,
Right.
And all of our communities may be different, may not be a global thing, but in your family, that's your community. What are you doing positively to make sure that community thrives, and it can be the best that it can be,
That's right. I want to share this with you guys. This is the video that I was trying to bring back to my remembrance. There was a young boy, age of 14, by the name of George Stinney. As I go forward, you'll know I don't even have to say what his ethnicity was and the people who prosecuted him, what their ethnicity was. But he was 14 years old, and the people who got killed, and they said he did it. I don't have to specify their ethnicity. He was 14 years old, and he was tried as an adult and convicted of the murder of 2 young girls. One, I believe, was the age of 8, and one was the age of 11. They said that he killed both of them, and he dumped their body. 14 years old, 90 pounds. He did this. 2 young girls, 11 and 8. All right? We already know what color he was. We already know what color the girls was. But just in case you don't, he was a black young man at the age of 14 that was tried and convicted in less than 2 hours. The jury came back with a conviction of guilty, and he was executed at the age of 14. And they found out years later that he was innocent, as if they didn't already know that he was innocent and he did not commit these crimes at the age of 14. The most shocking thing about this whole entire ordeal is, one, he was 14 years old and they executed him like a grown man. They executed him like he wasn't even human. 2 is the fact that the officers that were given their testimony about the fact that they lied and said that he confessed, what they did was they never cross-examined him. But the other thing that really blew my mind was that this took place in Clarendon County, people. Most of my viewers know all about Clarendon County: Somerton, Manning, Paxville, Rambay, Silver, that whole area. Clarendon County, you guys. Clarendon County. That is not that big of a place. Clarendon County. And this took place in the 1940s. That is not that long ago, people. That is not that long ago. And when I thought about that, you know what that lets me know? That the relatives of the people who prosecuted this 14-year-old little boy and executed him could very well be the government officials to this day in Clarendon County. It could very well be the relatives. It could very well be your mayor's cousin. It could very well be your school board official's brother, uncle, aunt, mother. That is not that long ago. And it could very well be the police members on your force. When I thought about that, it scared me because it let me know that as small as this town is, there are still some people in high places who, if they had the opportunity to blame a 14-year-old boy for the murder that he didn't commit, that they would do it in a heartbeat. Meanwhile, we still out here hating on ourselves, our own kind. I'm not saying hate anybody from any other race, but what I am saying is when you realize that you have all these other races hating on you, it should make you want to love your own even more. You know what? I ain't gonna get nobody to say nothing about that. But anyways, let me see. Okay, on the topic. Wait. Denise Washington Harris. On the topic of community, I want to say this. I've seen so many of our people run out to support Black Panther, the movie. I wonder why they do that in their communities.
Would they do that?
Well, I wonder would they do that in their communities. That is so right. Like we get, and that's correct. Once again, we get so many people go out here and they support and they support other things and other people and other stuff and this, that. And trust me, I am not soliciting or begging for anyone's support. I would welcome your support with open arms. I love you, but I also know that there are some people that are just going to hate you until they die. I get it. You understand? But what I'm trying to tell you is even if you don't support me, support at least what I stand for. And find somebody that may be doing what I'm doing and try to back it and push it. If you see someone that's trying to help out the community and you see somebody really cares about the kids and they really care about doing this and they really care about doing that, get behind that, push that, drive that. You know what I mean? It's easy for us to go and spend X amount of dollars for a concert to somebody who's not going to pour into our community. You know, and I see all these rappers and all of this stuff and they go and they put this money into certain communities and that's all well and good, but they ain't putting none into mine. We need to figure out how we can get somebody to put something into ours. I'm glad that they going over to wherever they go at and give their money. I'm happy. But now what we going to do? What we going to do? Because oftentimes when people see you doing, that's when they'll jump in and they'll help. We have to start helping ourselves. We have to, and what bugs me out is we sit and we don't go to these town meetings. A lot of us don't really vote, but the minute somebody from amongst us decides to rise up and run for something, we want to discredit them. But don't you know by discrediting them and then not voting at all, you're also giving credit to the person that goes in office who you know nothing about. You don't check to see if he did this or if he did that. You don't check to know if he know this or if he know that. You don't check to know blah, 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 this, that, and the third. But yet somebody like me come and try to help the community and you got to go back to 2003 to find something to bring up to now because I'm making noise and making a difference. Well, guess what? It ain't going to work. All you did was made me louder. That's all. So with that being said, if you see one of us rising up, and I seen it happen to so many of our people. I had a brother, who was doing something great and still doing great things. And something happened, I don't know what it, I don't want to go into details, but something happened. And I'm like, why they wait till now? Can you not see that every time one of us rise up, it always comes up out of nowhere, it seems, where somebody want to discredit? This is why I say Obama had to be one of the last members of the X-Men, because he had to have some type of human powers. Because you can rest assured there was a task force that was set out to find something on this man that could discredit him, but they was not able to do it. So he had to have been a special type of dude to walk the way he did. And then here you got somebody like Trump that's in office with all of these accusations, and some of these things has been proven, and he's still in office. Come on, people, we gotta do better, man. We just gotta do better. Let me read some of these comments because y'all done got me. Yeah, we run everywhere. We run everywhere to support these other places, and meanwhile we suffering.
Yeah, and I want to just chime in for a quick second, Denise, on what you said, that we run, to the movie theaters, or everybody's so excited about Black Panther, and what's going on, and all this, we're so excited about that because we want to follow the hype. We want to follow the Joneses, so to speak. If it looks big, if it's flashy, if it looks nice, then I want to be in it. I want to show everybody that I was a part of that. But when it comes down to hard work, dedication, if it fails, and will I try again? When it comes to being committed, to a project, a lot of times it's hard for us to stay with it, so that's the cycle that we need to break in our communities. Just because you feel like it's unachievable doesn't mean that it's not. Everything that's easy to get is not always good to get. That movie was all glamorous. It was nice. It was a great statement and everything. And that's why it was so easy for everybody to follow suit. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, if something is rough around the edges and it's hard, and you can't see the end, then nobody wants to follow through. And so that's what we need to break in our communities.
Yeah, we got to learn how to push. Every voice is worth something. So lift your voice up. And get behind something positive. Start something positive. Like I said, it's not about what I'm doing or what the next person is doing. It's about whatever you deem that's possible that can help the community. Because to be honest, the generations that the powers that be are targeting are getting younger and younger and younger and younger and younger. And if we don't catch them now while they're young, it's going to be hard to turn them when they get older. And Whitney Houston sung it best, and I don't want to sound cliche, but the children are definitely the future. If you can change what's popular by the time they're in second grade, if you can change that and up until now, then you can change the view and the shape of the whole entire world. The whole entire world. So let's keep that in mind. We got to instill this in our youth.
Yeah, the mindset.
Yeah, she just now said that. We have to do better for our youth to break that cycle. You're right, Denise. You are so right. Let me tell y'all this. It's a book that I read by Carter G. Woodson. It's called The Miseducation of a Negro. I went to, my daughters them had this thing at their school that I go to every year called, what is called, Princess? Reading for dads for reading or something?
100 men reading.
100 men reading, right? And I had a few issues at her school before. And like I said, I don't want to pull a race card every time, but when it's right in your face, man, you have to address the issue. So anyways, long story short, I went to the school, and one of the books that I read to this class, at the time, the first time I went there, you was in what, second grade? Third grade. She was in third grade. And the name of the book was The Miseducation of a Negro. Now, it's a series of books, but the whole series of that book is centered around, whether you know it or not, about the second or third grade, there is a census that goes forth throughout most of the large schools in every single state. And in this census, they detect behaviors in whichever area or region that they feel a behavior is more frequent in and more likely to gradually get worse as they get older. That's where they decide by the numbers where they are going to build a prison. They start at second and third grade, guys. Then when I moved to Baltimore and I started working in Baltimore City public school and private school, I started witnessing firsthand that these schools are designed to get these kids with behavioral problems ready for the prison system. And guess who controls the curriculum? Do you think they're African? No. Guess who controls the behavior model? Do you think they're African? No. Guess who controls the syllabus? Do you think they're African? No. But we send our kids to these schools every day blindly. And all that's getting ready to take place is they're getting prepared for the prison system. We need to come together as a community, and we need to put more emphasis on what's being taught at our school, who's teaching it, who's in control of it, why they're in control of it. What can we say that gives them the right to be in control of it? Because you have a voice. You have a say-so. One community that is home to me is Somerton, South Carolina. In Somerton, South Carolina, there is an amount of money that is given to the town of Somerton, a substantial amount that is given to the town of Somerton. I ain't talking about no little bit of money, for recreation every single year. We don't see, I would say, not even 5% of it. Why? Because we don't go to these town meetings. We don't demand that they show us where this money is going to. We don't ask for any of this money to be poured into the community. And then when we do go, chances are it's like one or two of us that's there. And if it's one or two of us and it's more of them and they vote that whole no, we don't think this should go there and we don't think that should go, guess who's winning? Guess what part of the town has sidewalks? Guess what part of the town has slow down and 30, 25 miles an hour because kids might be playing? Guess what side of the town gets their trash picked up on the dime all the time by inmates who just happen to be black? Guess what town, and they call it community service. Guess what town the streets are clean? Guess what side of town that's on? Are we entitled to those same things in our community? Yeah, we are. You think they're going to just hand it over to us? Nope. They're going to go get it. It's pretty much handed over to them. Why? Because their cousin probably in office. They uncles. They dads. I'm going to lose a lot of friends for this podcast, but it's true. As long as the friends that I don't lose don't look like me. That's all. As long as the friends that I lose don't look like me. Y'all, we got to come together. I'm not your enemy. I'm not fighting against y'all. We got to come together. You want to say something? She don't like when I talk like this because she's nice.
He is so passionate about.
She's nice and she's peaceful.
Community and just nothing against anything or anything that anyone else is doing. It's just to encourage us to come together, to be able to bring more positivity, more of a good perspective and on the views of our people, and just making sure that we do what we need to do to make sure that our children are successful in this world that we're living in. I'm sure that all of us can agree that the world we're living in is very corrupt. And so we need to be able to shape the mindsets of our children so that they can carry on and be able to live out their full purpose and full potential that they're here for.
Let me tell you like this. And like she said, I'm really passionate about when I talk like this. I'm really passionate about when I talk like this. I'm actually fighting back tears as we speak. But if I have to explain why I talk like this to my brothers and sisters of other colors and other ethnicities, then they really don't get it and they really don't care. If I have to explain to you the passion that I have behind this, then you're okay with the injustice that's being done to my people on a daily basis. If I have to explain this to you, I don't care how good I am and how well off I may think I'm doing. If I see somebody else from any color that's not doing the same, it hurts me. It bothers me. If I drive past someone, I saw a dog today that ribs was showing so much I thought it was going to pop out his body. And it took everything within me not to pick that dog up and put him in my car. How much more would I see a human being going through? How much more if my white brothers and sisters that's friends with me on Facebook going to sit back and see this stuff happen and not speak about it? How many times are you going to allow me to sit in a meeting full of Caucasian Presbyterian church leaders, region leaders, Caucasian leaders, and have them refer to me, my black brothers and sisters, as you people, and you shut up and say nothing, but yet tell me you my friend? And then when I call and text you after it happened, you don't respond to my call. I'm name calling next time. but not on this cast. How many times was that going to happen? How many times have you had me come to your school and say things to your youth that look like me, and you know I got across to them? And I was willing to come there for free on a daily basis. But the minute I spoke out against what your people did and called you, you ignored my calls. Reached out to you and inboxed you, you ignored my calls. Pastor, how many times have I called you and asked you what happened, and you ignored my calls? Come talk to me. That's all I got to say. All right, we don't went over our time. Anything you want to add on a closing note for that?
I really just want to say, that let's change the way we think. Let's change, our mindsets. Let's be a more positive people, a more positive community, a more positive world. And I just want to say, as you were talking, and as we were talking about taking a village to raise a child, taking a village to raise a community, me from firsthand, I know that I'm still living off the prayers of my grandmother. Shout out to Maybelle, Huggins, Lemon, the Green family, especially my grandmother. I know that I am living off her prayers. And so that for me is a testament that yes, my grandmother died in the 90s, in 1999. She died then, right? But she was praying for me as I was a little girl, taking me to church, teaching Sunday school, Bible study, instilling good characteristics within me. And so I'm still living off those things today. And she's dead and gone, And so that's just to say that we have the influence on our children, and it can be effective, but we have to instill the right things within them,
Edward trying to make me cry. Talking about I'm proud of you. I'm super proud of you, little brother. You too, baby sis. Thanks, bro. That means a lot. That means a whole lot.
Thank you so much.
There's a lack. We got another question. There's a lack, another comment. There's a lack of confidence in the community, and some feel as though what they do won't be effective, but it will. Listen, let me tell you, it will, guys. It will. I'm telling you firsthand. I had the privilege, and I gotta say privilege. I had the privilege of having to spend a few weeks in jail for something that happened in 2003, recently, and 2004. So I can't even remember, But anyways, I had the privilege of doing that, and I was able to reach several young men in there. And I said to myself, at first I was like, would what I say be effective? And then I had to remember that it's effective when it's right and when it's true, especially when God is in control of it. And I spoke to this young man, and to this day, I don't care if he was the only one, but there's several young men that call me and inbox me, and just for general conversation, just to let me know, hey, you did reach me. I do meditate on what you say and think blah, blah, blah. This young man calls me every day or inboxes me every day. Sometimes I have several of them that just checks in with me and, hey, look, I want you to know that I'm still thinking about what you said. I'm still practicing it. It's hard sometimes. Pray for me, so forth and so on. So I said that to say this: everything that you do, if it's positive, it's going to, if it brings life, it's going to live. It's going to live. Don't let your confidence think that what you do won't work. It will work. It will work. You just gotta listen. There is always a first person or a first time for everything. You could be that first person to ever do XYZ. You could be the one that usher in the first time that this happened. You understand? So you just got to know, and you got to go with, you just got to go with it. You got to go with it.
And don't stop, and just because something doesn't work the way you wanted to work the first time, don't allow that to defeat you, and that goes back to what we're talking about, matters of the heart and mind over matter. When you know something in your head and you have a vision for something and you know that this can work, if you know that it can work, then you should know that it will work. But the only way that it won't work is if you stop it. So you have the power to do whatever it is that God has placed inside of you and destined for you to do. You just have to be the one to believe it. You have to believe that yourself. Nobody else can.
Let me tell you this: the difference between a person that fails and a person that succeeds is the one that failed gave up.
Yeah.
The one that succeeded kept going. So the only thing that makes sure that you would become a failure is if you give up. And on that note, we are going to pray ourselves out of here. We thank everybody
Thank
for
you guys
coming
so much.
in. Everybody in our little audience back
Thank you
there.
guys. Thank you guys.
And we will see y'all again on next Monday. Let us pray. God, we thank you for allowing us to be here once again. We thank you for your love. We thank you for your spirit. We thank you for everybody that watched. We ask that you would allow this podcast to touch everyone and to enter into everyone's homes and everyone's community. God, we thank you for the help that it brings to them, but not only them, we thank you for the help that it brings to us. God, we ask that you empower us with what to say on next time, that you speak to our hearts and our minds. We ask that you continue to increase our audience and continue to increase our platform. And we believe you for it now. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
See y'all next Monday, 7 o'clock.